The stars looked different from the bridge of the new horizon. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the main window, watching the blue and purple lights of his Zephyrian home system grow larger as they approached. His ship had been traveling for 3 weeks to reach this distant corner of the galaxy. The journey was long, but the mission was important. Jake was a tall man with graying hair and kind eyes. He had been a ship captain for 20 years, but this was his first time visiting the Zephyrian homeworld. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors who had conquered many planets. They were not easy people to deal with. "Captain, we are getting close to their planet," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her seat at the communications desk. Amy was young and smart, with short black hair and a quick smile. She had been working on the ship for 2 years and was very good at her job. "Thank you, Amy. Send them a message that we are here for the meeting," Jake said. He turned to look at his crew. These people had been with him through many missions. They were like family to him. Dr. Lisa Carter walked onto the bridge carrying a medical scanner. She was the ship's doctor, a woman in her 40s with long brown hair and a calm voice. "Captain, I have finished checking the air on their planet. It is safe for humans to breathe, but it will feel heavy because of the higher gravity." "Good work, Lisa. Make sure everyone takes the gravity medicine before we go down," Jake replied. He trusted Lisa completely. She had saved many lives during their travels. Commander Ryan Blake came up to stand beside Jake. Ryan was the ship's security chief, a strong man with short blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. He always looked serious, but Jake knew he cared deeply about keeping everyone safe. "Captain, I do not like this meeting," Ryan said quietly. "The Zephyrians have been fighting wars for hundreds of years. They do not respect other species. I think they might try to cause trouble." Jake nodded. "I understand your worry, Ryan, but we have to try to make peace with them. The Federation wants all species to work together. We cannot do that if we are always fighting." The ship's main screen showed the Zephyrian planet getting closer. It was a dark world with red oceans and black mountains. The cities glowed with orange lights that looked like fires burning in the night. Everything about the planet seemed dangerous and unfriendly. "Captain Morrison, this is Zephyrian Control," came a deep, rough voice through the speakers. "You have permission to land at the capital city. Follow the path we are sending to your ship." Amy pressed some buttons on her control panel. "Got it, Captain. The landing instructions are coming through now." Jake sat down in his captain's chair. "Take us down, Amy. Nice and slow. We do not want to make them nervous." The new horizon descended through the planet's thick atmosphere. The air was full of dust and strange gases that made everything look red. As they got closer to the surface, Jake could see huge buildings made of black stone. The Zephyrian architecture was harsh and pointed, with no soft curves or decorative elements. They landed at a large spaceport filled with Zephyrian warships. These vessels were bigger than human ships and covered in weapons. Each one looked like it was built for fighting, not for exploration or trade. "Captain, the diplomatic team is ready to meet us," Amy reported. Jake stood up and straightened his uniform. "All right, everyone. Remember, we are here to build friendship between our species. Stay calm, be respectful, and follow my lead." The diplomatic team was waiting for them at the bottom of the ship's ramp. Ambassador Helen Parker was a smart woman in her 50s with gray hair and a firm handshake. She had been working in galactic diplomacy for many years and knew how to talk to difficult people. Next to her stood a young girl with bright eyes and a curious smile. This was Katie Parker, the ambassador's 8-year-old daughter. Katie had been living on the diplomatic ship for months while her mother worked on important missions throughout the galaxy. "Hello, Captain Morrison," Ambassador Parker said. "Thank you for bringing us here safely." I know this meeting is very important for human-Zephyrian relations. Jake smiled at Katie, who was looking around at everything with wonder. Hello there. Katie, how do you like space travel? It is amazing. Katie said with excitement. I have seen so many different planets and met so many interesting people. Mom says the Zephyrians are very strong warriors. That is right, Jake said. They are known for being tough fighters. But today we hope to show them that humans can be good friends too. A group of Zephyrian soldiers approached them. These aliens were tall and muscular, with gray skin and sharp teeth. They wore black armor that covered their entire bodies, and their eyes glowed with a yellow light. Everything about them looked designed for war. Humans, said the lead soldier in a voice like grinding metal. Follow us. High Chancellor, Vexstar is waiting for you. They walked through the city streets toward the government buildings. The Zephyrian civilians they passed stopped to stare at the humans. Most of them had never seen humans before, and they looked at Katie with particular interest. Some pointed at her and spoke in their own language. Mom, why are they looking at me like that? Katie whispered. They are just curious, honey, Ambassador Parker replied. Human children are different from Zephyrian children. They probably think it is strange that we brought you on such an important mission. The government building was enormous, made of black stone and covered with carvings of battles and victories. Inside, the halls were wide and dark, lit by torches that cast dancing shadows on the walls. Everything was designed to make visitors feel small and intimidated. They were led to a great hall where High Chancellor Vexstar sat on a throne made of metal and bone. He was larger than the other Zephyrians, with scars covering his face and arms. His armor was more elaborate, decorated with symbols of his victories in battle. So, these are the humans, Vexstar said, his voice echoing through the hall. You are smaller than I expected. And you brought a child to a meeting of warriors? This shows how little you understand about serious matters. Ambassador Parker stepped forward. High Chancellor, we appreciate you agreeing to meet with us. Humans believe that peace between our species will benefit everyone in the galaxy. Vexstar laughed, a sound like rocks falling. Peace? Humans talk? About peace because you are weak. You have no great armies, no conquered worlds, no real power. Why should the Zephyrian Empire care what you think? Because we offer something different, Ambassador Parker replied calmly. We offer friendship, trade, and cooperation. We can help each other grow stronger. Friendship? Vexstar stood up from his throne. The strong do not need friends. They take what they want and destroy what opposes them. This is the way of the universe. Katie stepped closer to her mother, feeling frightened by the angry alien. Vexstar noticed this and smiled cruelly. Look at this, he said to his advisors. The humans bring their spawn to important meetings. They treat war councils like family gatherings. How can we respect such a species? Ambassador Parker's voice became colder. High Chancellor, I need to make something very clear to you. Humans protect their children above all else. Harming a human child would be considered an act of war by every human in the galaxy. The Zephyrian council members looked at each other and began to laugh. The sound filled the hall like the roar of wild animals. Are you threatening us? Vexstar asked, his eyes glowing brighter. You come to our world with your tiny ship and your small numbers, and you dare to threaten the Zephyrian Empire? I am not threatening you, Ambassador Parker said firmly. I am warning you. This is not about politics or territory or resources. This is about something that every human shares. We protect our young with everything we have. This is not negotiable. Vexstar leaned forward. And what exactly would you humans do if someone harmed your precious child? Ambassador Parker looked directly into his glowing eyes. We would find whoever did it. We would find everyone who helped them. We would find everyone who supported them. And we would make sure they never hurt another child again. The hall became quiet. The Zephyrian soldiers stopped laughing. For a moment, something in the ambassador's voice made them pause. But then Vextar laughed again. Empty words from a weak species. You humans are all talk. You have never shown real strength. You negotiate instead of fighting. You explore instead of conquering. You are soft. Perhaps, Ambassador Parker said, but remember what I have told you. Hurt a human child, and you will learn exactly how wrong you are about us. The meeting continued for several more hours, but nothing important was accomplished. The Zephyrians remained convinced that humans were weak and unimportant. They had no interest in making peace or forming alliances. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Vextar called out to them. Remember, humans, the galaxy belongs to the strong. The weak are consumed by those with power. That is the natural order. Ambassador Parker turned back to face him one last time. High Chancellor, you have been warned. I hope for everyone's sake that you remember my words. The humans returned to their ship as the sun set over the Zephyrian capital. The meeting had not gone well, but Ambassador Parker had done her job. She had delivered the message that needed to be delivered. Jake stood on the bridge as they lifted off from the planet. Do you think they understood? He asked. Ambassador Parker held Katie close to her. No, Captain. I do not thee. 3 months had passed since the meeting with the Zephyrians. The galaxy had moved on to other concerns, but tensions were growing along the border between human and Zephyrian space. The problem started on a small planet called Kepler 442b, where human scientists had discovered something valuable. Dr. Peter Williams knelt in the dusty soil of the mining site, carefully examining the blue crystals that his team had found. These were not ordinary crystals. They contained rare minerals that could power starships for years without needing to be replaced. The discovery could change everything for human space travel. Dad, look what I found, called his son Alex from across the excavation site. The 12-year-old boy was holding up a small crystal that glowed with its own inner light. Alex had been helping his father with the research for weeks, and he was getting good at spotting the valuable minerals. Peter smiled at his son. Good work, Alex. That is a perfect sample. Take it to your mother so she can run some tests on it. Alex ran across the camp to the laboratory where his mother, Dr. Susan Williams, was working with her equipment. The mining colony was small but well organized, with about 50 people living and working there. Most of them were scientists and engineers, but there were also some families with children. Mom, Dad found another good crystal, Alex said as he burst into the lab. Susan looked up from her computer screen and smiled at her son. She was a chemist who specialized in analyzing alien materials. Let me see, Susan said, taking the crystal from Alex. She held it up to the light, watching the way it glowed. This is beautiful, Alex. These crystals are going to help humans explore even more of the galaxy. The Williams family had been living on Kepler 442b for 6 months. It was not the most comfortable place to live, but they enjoyed working together on important research. The planet had a thin atmosphere and cold temperatures, but the human colony had built good shelters and life support systems. The problem was that the Zephyrians claimed the planet belonged to them. They said that their ancestors had visited this world hundreds of years ago, which gave them the right to control it. The humans disagreed, pointing out that no Zephyrian had ever lived on the planet or built anything there. The argument had been going on for months in the Federation Council. Lawyers and diplomats from many species were trying to decide who really owned the planet. While they talked, the humans continued their mining work, and the Zephyrians grew more angry. Commander, Zekther was one of the Zephyrians who wanted to take action. He was a military leader who believed that talking was a waste of time. In his opinion, the Zephyrians should simply take what they wanted by force. "The humans are stealing our resources," Ziegther said to his soldiers as they prepared. "Their ships. They ignore our rightful claim to that planet. They think we are too weak to stop them." Ziegther was a typical Zephyrian warrior, tall and strong with gray skin and glowing eyes. His armor was black and covered with the symbols of his military unit. He had fought in many battles and won many victories. He did not understand why his government was wasting time with Federation lawyers. "Commander, what are your orders?" asked his second-in-command, a younger soldier named Kexival. "We will teach the humans a lesson they will never forget," Ziegther replied. "We will show them what happens when they steal from the Zephyrian Empire." The plan was simple. Ziegther would take his fastest ships and attack the human mining colony. But this would not be an ordinary military strike. He wanted to send a message that would make all humans afraid of the Zephyrians. "We will not attack their mines or their equipment," Ziegther told his soldiers. "We will attack their families. We will show them that their soft hearts make them weak." The attack came without warning. Alex Williams was playing outside the colony with two other children when the Zephyrian ships appeared in the sky. The ships were sleek and black, designed for speed and surprise attacks. They dropped out of hyperspace so close to the planet that the human sensors barely had time to detect them. "Alert! Alert! Incoming hostile ships!" came the voice over the colony's speakers. "All civilians report to the emergency shelters immediately." Alex looked up at the sky and saw the Zephyrian ships diving toward the colony. They looked like giant birds of prey with wings that glowed with energy. The boy had never seen anything so frightening. "Alex, come here right now," his mother called from the laboratory door. Susan was trying to stay calm, but Alex could hear the fear in her voice. He ran toward her as fast as he could. The Zephyrian ships opened fire on the colony's defenses. The humans had some weapons to protect themselves, but they were scientists, not soldiers. Their equipment was meant for research, not warfare. The colony's small defense system was quickly overwhelmed. Ziegther's soldiers landed near the residential area where the families lived. They were not interested in the mining equipment or the research facilities. They had come for the humans themselves. "Surrender now, and no one will be hurt," Ziegther announced over his ship's speakers. But this was a lie. He had already decided what he was going to do. Peter Williams was in the main mining pit when the attack began. He could hear the explosions and see the smoke rising from the colony. His first thought was of his family. "Susan, Alex," he shouted into his radio. "Where are you? Are you safe?" "We are in the lab," Susan replied. "The building is secure, but there are Zephyrian soldiers everywhere. They are surrounding us." Peter started running toward the colony, but he was too far away. The Zephyrian soldiers were moving quickly, using their advanced weapons to break down doors and capture people. Alex stayed close to his mother as they heard heavy footsteps outside the laboratory. The door was strong, but it would not hold against Zephyrian weapons for long. "Mom, what do they want?" Alex asked. "I do not know, honey," Susan replied. "But whatever happens, stay close to me." The door exploded inward, and 3 Zephyrian soldiers entered the laboratory. Their armor made them look like metal monsters, and their glowing eyes were terrifying to see. "Dr. Susan Williams and Alex Williams," said the lead soldier, reading from a device in his hand. "You will come with us now." "Why?" Susan asked. "We have done nothing wrong. We are just scientists." The soldier ignored her question. "You will come with us, or we will drag you." Susan took Alex's hand and followed the soldiers out of the laboratory. Outside, she could see other families being captured. The Zephyrians were not interested in the adult scientists. They were only taking the people with children. They were brought to the center of the colony where Ziegther was waiting. The commander was bigger and more frightening than the other soldiers. When he spoke, his voice was like the growl of a dangerous animal. "Humans," he said, looking at the captured families, "you have been stealing from the Zephyrian Empire. You have ignored our rightful claim to this planet. Now you will learn the price of your greed." Peter Williams arrived just as the Zephyrians were loading the prisoners onto their ships. He could see his wife and son being forced aboard one off. "The vessels, let them go," Peter shouted. "Take me instead. I am the one in charge of the mining operation." Ziegther turned to look at Peter. "You are Dr. Peter Williams, the chief scientist? Good. Now you can watch what happens to humans who steal from us." The Zephyrian ships lifted off from the planet, carrying their prisoners into space. Peter stood in the wreckage of the colony, watching helplessly as his family disappeared into the stars. The ships flew to a space station in the asteroid belt between the two star systems. This was a Zephyrian military base, hidden among the rocks and ice. It was the perfect place for what Ziegther planned to do next. The prisoners were brought to a large room with cameras and broadcasting equipment. Ziegther had decided to make his lesson public. He wanted the entire galaxy to see what happened to humans who opposed the Zephyrian Empire. "Citizens of the galaxy," Ziegther said as the cameras began recording, "today you will see the true nature of the human species. They claim to be peaceful, but they are thieves. They steal what belongs to others and hide behind Federation laws." Alex stood next to his mother, trying to be brave. He was scared, but he did not want to show it. His mother had taught him to be strong in difficult situations. "This human child," Ziegther continued, pointing at Alex, "is the son of the criminals who are stealing our resources. Let this be a lesson to all humans. When you take what is not yours, your families will pay the price." The commander struck Alex across the face, knocking the boy to the ground. Susan tried to protect her son, but the other soldiers held her back. "Stop!" Susan screamed. "He is just a child." "He has done nothing wrong," Ziegther laughed. "Human children are weak, just like their parents. You raise them to be soft and helpless. This is why you will never be strong like the Zephyrians." The broadcast was being transmitted across the galaxy. On Earth, President Maria Santos was in an emergency meeting when the transmission appeared on all the screens. "My God," she whispered, as she watched the Zephyrian commander terrorize the human child. "They do not understand what they have done." On the space station, Ziegther continued his demonstration. He wanted to show the galaxy that humans could be broken easily. He thought that terrorizing a child would make all humans afraid. "Look at this weak human spawn," he said, forcing Alex to stand up. His parents taught him to be gentle and kind. President Maria Santos sat in the emergency meeting room, deep beneath the Earth's Capitol building. The room was filled with the most powerful humans in the galaxy, but they all looked stunned and angry. On the main screen, the recording of Alex Williams being attacked played over and over again. "Turn it off," President Santos said quietly. "We have all seen enough." The screen went dark, but the image remained burned into everyone's mind. A human child had been hurt, and the attack had been broadcast to the entire galaxy. This was something that humans had feared might happen someday, but they had hoped it never would. "How long ago did this happen?" asked Admiral John Carter. He was the commander of Earth's defense fleet, a man with gray hair and serious eyes who had been protecting human space for 30 years. "The broadcast was sent 4 hours ago," replied General Linda Brooks, the head of human intelligence. "We have confirmed that the attack took place on the asteroid, station called Zephyrian Outpost 7. The prisoners are still being held there." President Santos stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of the city, where billions of humans lived peaceful lives. They trusted their government to protect them and their children. Now that trust was being tested. "What is the status of our military forces?" she asked. Admiral Carter checked his tablet. "Every human warship in the galaxy is already moving toward Zephyrian space. We did not need to give the order." The moment that broadcast ended, every captain changed course on their own. "How many ships?" President Santos asked. "More than the Zephyrians know we have," Admiral Carter replied. "Much more." The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this day for decades. When they joined the galactic community, they had seemed like a peaceful species with a small military. But this appearance was carefully planned. The humans had been building a secret fleet of warships, hidden in remote star systems, and disguised as civilian vessels. Captain Jake Morrison received the emergency message while his ship was exploring a distant nebula. The message was short and simple. Code 7. All ships return to human space immediately. Jake knew what Code 7 meant. It was the signal that every human captain hoped they would never receive. It meant that human children were in danger, and the full power of humanity was being unleashed. "Amy, set course for Earth," Jake ordered. "Maximum speed." Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez looked confused. "Captain, we are in the middle of our exploration mission. Command did not tell us to return." Jake's face was grim. "Amy, Code 7 means that somewhere in the galaxy someone has hurt a human child. We are going to war." The bridge became quiet. Dr. Lisa Carter and Commander Ryan Blake exchanged worried looks. They had served with Jake for years, but they had never seen him look so serious. "How long to reach Earth?" Jake asked. "At maximum speed, 18 hours, Amy replied. "Make it 15, Jake said. "And send a message to all human ships in this sector. Tell them that the New Horizon is leading a battle group to Earth." As their ship raced through hyperspace, Jake explained the situation to his crew. They watched the recording of Alex Williams being attacked, and their faces grew dark with anger. "Those monsters," Dr. Lisa Carter whispered. "How could they hurt a child?" "Because they do not understand humans," Jake replied. "They think we are weak because we choose peace. They are about to learn how wrong they are." The New Horizon was not really an exploration vessel. It was a heavily armed warship disguised as a peaceful research ship. The medical bay contained advanced weapon systems. The cargo hold was full of military equipment. The entire ship could transform from a science vessel into a destroyer in less than an hour. "Lisa," Jake said, "activate the military protocols. Begin converting the ship for combat operations." Dr. Lisa Carter nodded and began pressing buttons on her console. Throughout the ship, hidden panels opened to reveal weapon systems. The hull reconfigured itself to better protect against enemy fire. The engines switched to military power settings. "My God," Amy whispered as she watched the transformation. "This whole time, we were on a warship?" "Every human ship in space is a warship," Jake explained. "We just prefer to use them for peaceful purposes. But when human children are threatened, we remember what these ships were really built for." Commander Ryan Blake was checking the weapons systems. "Captain, all combat systems are online. We have enough firepower to destroy a small planet." "Good," Jake said. "We are going to need it." Similar scenes were playing out on thousands of human ships throughout the galaxy. Captain Sarah Mitchell of the Mars Defense Corps was leading a fleet of 20 warships toward the Zephyrian border. General Kevin Roberts was mobilizing the Colonial Guard, calling up reserves from every human colony. The humans had been hiding their true strength for decades. They had wanted to be part of the galactic community, but they had never trusted other species completely. They had built secret shipyards, hidden weapons factories, and trained military forces that most aliens did not even know existed. On Earth, President Santos was meeting with the leaders of the human military. The room was filled with admirals and generals who had spent their careers preparing for this moment. What is our total military strength? President Santos asked. Admiral Carter read from his report. We have over 5,000 combat-ready warships. We have automated defense platforms around every human colony. We have weapons that the galaxy has never seen before. And the Zephyrians? They have about 2,000 ships, mostly older designs. They are tough fighters, but their technology is not as advanced as ours. President Santos nodded. What about the other species? Will they try to stop us? General Brooks spoke up. The Federation Council is calling for calm and peaceful negotiation. They want us to work through diplomatic channels. And what did you tell them? I told them that the time for diplomacy ended when they broadcast the torture of a human child to the entire galaxy. President Santos walked back to the window. Admiral Carter, I want you to send a message to every human ship in the galaxy. Tell them that we are not going to war. War is something that happens between equals. This is an extermination. A message went out on secure channels to every human vessel. Within hours, the largest military force in galactic history was moving toward Zephyrian space. The ships came from every direction, converging on the Zephyrian Empire like a closing. Fist.High Chancellor Vextar was in his palace on the Zephyrian homeworld when he received the first reports. His military advisors were standing around a holographic display showing the movement of ships throughout the galaxy. Chancellor, we are detecting massive human ship movements, said General Korth X. They appear to be mobilizing their entire fleet. Vextar looked at the display with interest. How many ships? We are not sure, sir. Our intelligence said they only had about 300 vessels, but we are tracking at least 10 times that number. That is impossible, Vextar said. The humans are a peaceful species. They do not have a large military. Sir, we may have been wrong about their capabilities. Vextar studied the display more carefully. The human ships were moving in perfect coordination, like a machine with thousands of parts. This was not the behavior of a peaceful exploration fleet. This was the movement of a military force that had been planning and preparing for years. Get me Commander Ziegther. Vextar ordered. It took several minutes to establish communication with the asteroid station. When Ziegther appeared on the screen, he looked confident and pleased with himself. Chancellor, the mission was a complete success, Ziegther reported. The humans are terrified. They know that we are stronger than they are. Ziegther, you fool, Vextar said. The humans are not terrified. They are angry. They are sending their entire fleet to destroy us. Let them come, Ziegther replied. We will crush them like insects. How many ships do you have at your position? 12 fast attack vessels, sir. More than enough to handle any human response. Vextar looked at the holographic display again. The human fleet was massive, and it was moving with purpose and coordination. That suggested years of military planning. Ziegther, I want you to kill the human prisoners and evacuate that station immediately. Sir? Why would we run from the humans? Because I think we may have made a terrible mistake. But it was too late for evacuation. The first human ships were already dropping out of hyperspace near the asteroid station. They were not exploration vessels anymore. They were fully armed warships, bristling with weapons that the Zephyrians had never seen before. Captain Morrison's ship was leading the first attack wave. As they approached the station, he opened a communication channel. Zephyrian Station. This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon. You are holding human prisoners. Release them immediately, or we will take them by force. Commander Ziegther laughed when he heard the message. Human Captain, you are outnumbered. I have 12 ships. You have only 8. I have 8 ships here, Morrison replied. I have 5,000 more coming. The battle began immediately. The Zephyrian ships were fast and heavily armed, but the human vessels were using technology that seemed impossible. Their shields absorbed energy weapons completely. Their own weapons cut through Zephyrian armor like paper. Within minutes, half of Zekther's fleet was destroyed. The human ships moved like dancers, coordinating their attacks with perfect PR. The human fleet that surrounded the asteroid station was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Earth's Pride, watching as more ships arrived every hour. Each vessel that dropped out of hyperspace was bigger and more advanced than the last. Admiral, we now have over 800 ships in this sector, reported Captain Jenny Walsh, his aide. More are arriving from the outer colonies. Admiral Carter nodded as he studied the tactical display. The Zephyrian Empire controlled 12 star systems, with their capital world at the center. Between the human fleet and the Zephyrian homeworld lay a network of military bases, space stations, and defensive platforms that had protected the Empire for centuries. Send a message to all ship commanders, Admiral Carter ordered. We are not here to conquer territory. We are here to find every person who was involved in hurting Alex Williams. We will tear apart their entire empire if necessary. The message was broadcast on all human military channels. Throughout the fleet, captains received their orders with grim satisfaction. They had spent years pretending to be peaceful explorers, but now they could show their true purpose. Captain Morrison's ship, the New Horizon, was leading the first attack group toward the Zephyrian border. Behind him flew 11 other vessels, each one disguised as a civilian ship but armed with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Captain, we are approaching the Zephyrian patrol zone, reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. We should encounter their border defenses soon. Good, Jake replied. Open a channel to the fleet. His face appeared on screens throughout the attack. Group, the other captains looked at him with respect and anticipation. Many of them had served together for years, always knowing that this day might come. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake said, we are about to enter Zephyrian space. Remember, we are not here to start a war. We are here to finish one that they started when they hurt our child. The first Zephyrian patrol ships appeared on their sensors 10 minutes later. There were 6 vessels, smaller than the human ships, but heavily armed. They moved to intercept the human fleet, broadcasting warnings in the harsh Zephyrian language. Human ships, you are entering Zephyrian space without permission, came the transmission. Turn back or we will open fire. Captain Morrison activated his communication system. Zephyrian Patrol, this is Captain Narration of the human fleet. We are here to collect someone who belongs to us. Stand aside. You have no authority here, human. This is sovereign Zephyrian territory. Not anymore, Morrison replied. The battle began immediately, but it was not really a battle. The Zephyrian patrol ships opened fire with their energy weapons, but the beams simply disappeared against the human shields. The humans responded with weapons that the Zephyrians had never seen before. Streams of white light shot from the human ships, cutting through the Zephyrian armor like it was made of paper. The alien vessels exploded in brilliant flashes, their wreckage scattered across space. All targets destroyed, reported Commander Ryan Blake. We took no damage. The human fleet continued deeper into Zephyrian space. Behind them, more human ships were arriving at the border. The attack was happening on all sides of the Zephyrian Empire, with human forces appearing at every entry point. On the Zephyrian homeworld, High Chancellor Vextar was meeting with his military commanders in the war room. The holographic display showed human ships throughout their space, moving with purpose and coordination. How many ships do they have? Vextar demanded. "We estimate at least 3,000, Chancellor," replied General Korthax. "But they keep coming. Our intelligence was completely wrong about human military capabilities. What about our defenses? Can we stop them?" "Sir, they are destroying our patrol ships without taking any damage. Their weapons are more advanced than anything we have seen. Their shields are impenetrable." Vextar studied the display with growing fear. The human ships were not moving like an invasion force. They were moving like hunters, systematically searching every system and every station. "What do they want?" he asked. "They keep broadcasting the same message," General Korthax replied. "They want Commander Zeekther and everyone who was involved in the attack on the human child." "Give them Zeekther," Vextar said immediately. "Tell them we will hand him over." "Sir, we cannot contact Commander Zeekther. The humans captured his station. We believe he is their prisoner." "Then what do they want from us?" The answer came in the form of a message from Admiral Carter himself. The transmission was sent to every Zephyrian military base and government facility throughout the Empire. "Citizens of the Zephyrian Empire," Admiral Carter said, his voice calm but filled with authority. "3 days ago, your military forces attacked a human colony and kidnapped human families. Your commander broadcast the torture of a human child to the entire galaxy. The message continued as human ships destroyed another Zephyrian patrol group. We warned you that this would happen. Your leaders chose to ignore our warning. Now you will learn what happens when someone hurts our children." On the screen, Admiral Carter looked directly at the camera. "We are not here to conquer your empire. We are here to find everyone who was involved in hurting Alex Williams. We will search every ship, every station, every planet if necessary. You have 24 hours to surrender all personnel who participated in the attack." The message ended, but the implications were clear. The humans were not interested in negotiation or diplomacy. They were conducting a manhunt on a galactic scale. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was monitoring Zephyrian communications from her station on the New Horizon. Her equipment was much more advanced than the aliens realized, allowing her to intercept and decode their military transmissions. "Captain, I am picking up panic throughout their fleet," she reported. "They are trying to evacuate non-essential personnel from their military bases." "What about their government?" Jake asked. "High Chancellor Vextar is trying to establish communication. With us, he wants to negotiate." Jake's expression hardened. "Tell him that the time for negotiation ended when his people broadcast the torture of a human child. We are not here to talk." The human fleet continued its methodical advance through Zephyrian space. At each system, they would destroy the local defenses and board every ship and station. They were looking for anyone who had been involved in the attack on Alex Williams, but they were also sending a message to the entire galaxy. Dr. Lisa Carter was working in the medical bay when she received an update on Alex's condition. The boy had been transferred to the flagship for treatment, along with his mother and the other rescued prisoners. "How is he doing?" Jake asked when Lisa gave her report. "He will recover completely," Lisa replied. "The injuries were not permanent, but the psychological trauma will take time to heal. He keeps asking when he can see his father." "Dr. Peter Williams is on his way," Jake said. "We extracted him from the mining colony this morning. The family will be reunited soon." Lisa nodded, but her expression remained serious. "Captain, I have been thinking about what happened. The Zephyrians recorded everything they did to Alex. They wanted the galaxy to see it. They thought it would make humans afraid. They were wrong," Jake said simply. "Yes, but they revealed something about themselves. They do not understand how humans think. They do not understand that attacking our children would make us stronger, not weaker." Jake looked out at the fleet of human warships surrounding them. They are about to get a very thorough education. The next target was a major Zephyrian military base called Fortress Prime. It was built inside a large asteroid, with weapons platforms and shield generators that had never been penetrated by enemy forces. The Zephyrians considered it to be impregnable. The human attack began with a demonstration of their technological superiority. Instead of trying to break through the shields, they simply turned them off. Amy Rodriguez had managed to hack into the station's computer systems, giving the humans complete control. "This is impossible," said Commander Rexler, the base's commanding officer. "Our systems are completely isolated. They cannot be accessed from outside." But the humans had technology that seemed like magic to the Zephyrians. Their computer systems were quantum-based, capable of breaking through any encryption in seconds. Within minutes, they had taken control of the entire base. "Attention, Fortress Prime," came Captain Morrison's voice over the station speakers. "Your shields and weapons are offline. We are sending boarding parties to search your facility. Do not resist, and no one will be harmed." The search was thorough and systematic. The human soldiers moved through the base like ghosts, using advanced scanners to examine every person and every room. They were looking for anyone who might have been involved in the attack on Alex Williams. They found 3 soldiers who had been part of Ziegler's unit. These men were taken into custody and transported to the human fleet for questioning. The rest of the base personnel were left unharmed, but they were given a message to spread throughout the Empire. "Tell your people," said the human commander, "that we know who is involved in the attack on our child. We will find them all. Distance will not protect them. Time will not protect them. We will hunt them across the galaxy if necessary." The pattern was repeated at dozens of military bases throughout Zephyrian space. The humans would arrive, disable the Deef. The human fleet hung in space above the Zephyrian homeworld like a dark cloud covering the sun. 3,000 warships surrounded the planet, their weapons trained on the surface below. In the capital city, millions of Zephyrians looked up at the sky with fear and wonder. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the planet through the main view screen. He had spent 30 years protecting human space, but he had never imagined a moment like this. The full power of humanity was displayed before him, and the galaxy was watching. "Admiral, we have located Commander Ziegler," reported Captain Walsh. "He is being held in a detention facility on the surface. High Chancellor Vextar is trying to negotiate his release." "There will be no negotiation," Admiral Carter replied. "We are going down to get him." The rescue mission was planned with military precision. Captain Morrison would lead a team of Special Forces soldiers to the detention facility. They would extract Ziegler and bring him back to the fleet for questioning. The operation would be swift and decisive. "Captain Morrison, you have command of the surface operation," Admiral Carter announced. "Bring me the alien who hurt our child." Jake nodded grimly. "Yes, sir, we will get him." The New Horizon descended through the planet's atmosphere, followed by 5 other ships. The Zephyrian air defenses had been disabled hours ago, so the human vessels flew unopposed toward the capital city. On the surface, High Chancellor Vixtar was in his palace, surrounded by his advisors. They were all watching the human ships approach with growing terror. The vessels were bigger than anything in the Zephyrian fleet, and they moved with the confidence of absolute power. "Chancellor, what are your orders?" asked General Corthax. "We surrender," Vextar said simply. "Order all military units to stand down. Do not resist the humans." "Sir, this will destroy our reputation throughout the galaxy." "Our reputation is already destroyed," Vextar replied. "We attacked a human child. Nothing we do now will change that." The human ships landed outside the detention facility where Ziegler was being held. The building was surrounded by Zephyrian soldiers, but they made no move to resist as the humans approached. Commander Ryan Blake led the assault team through the facility. The Zephyrian guards stepped aside without fighting, allowing the humans to pass. They had seen what human weapons could do, and they had no desire to test their luck. Ziegther was found in a high-security cell, still wearing his black armor. When he saw the human soldiers approaching, he laughed with bitter amusement. "So, the weak humans have come for me," he said. "I am not surprised. You are too soft to let me die with honor." "You will have your chance to die," Ryan replied. "But first, you are going to answer for what you did to Alex Williams." Ziegther was brought to the surface and loaded onto one of the human ships. As they lifted off from the planet, he looked back at his homeworld one last time. The sight of 3,000 human warships filled him with a mixture of fear and respect. "I did not know," he said quietly. "I did not know that humans were capable of this." "You were warned," Ryan replied. "You chose not to listen." The ship returned to the fleet, where Ziegther was brought before Admiral Carter. The admiral looked at the alien commander with cold anger, thinking of the young boy who had been hurt by this creature. "Commander Ziegther," Admiral Carter said, "you are charged with attacking human civilians, kidnapping human families, and torturing a human child. How do you plead?" "I plead that I am a soldier," Ziegther replied. "I was following orders from my government." "Your government did not order you to torture a child on live television. That was your choice." Ziegther looked around at the human officers surrounding him. Their faces were hard and unforgiving, but he could see something else in their eyes. They were not monsters like him. They were people who had been pushed too far. "What will you do to me?" he asked. "You will be tried by a human court for your crimes," Admiral Carter replied. "If you are found guilty, you will be executed." "And my homeworld? My people?" "Your people will be placed under Federation supervision until they can prove they are no longer a threat to human children. Your military will be disbanded. Your government will be reformed." Ziegther stared at the admiral in shock. "You are going to destroy our entire civilization?" "No," Admiral Carter said. "You destroyed your civilization when you decided to hurt a human child. We are just cleaning up the mess you made." The news of Ziegther's capture spread throughout the galaxy within hours. The Federation Council called an emergency session to discuss the human response. Many species were concerned about the display of military power, but none dared to criticize the humans directly. President Maria Santos addressed the council via hologram from Earth. Her message was broadcast to every world in the Federation, ensuring that all species would hear her words. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began. 3 days ago, the Zephyrian Empire attacked a human colony and kidnapped human families. They tortured a human child and broadcast his suffering to the entire galaxy. The chamber was silent as she continued. "When humanity joined the Federation, we came in peace. We offered friendship and cooperation. We warned that there was one line that must never be crossed. We told you that harming a human child would be considered an act of war." President Santos looked directly at the camera. The Zephyrians chose to ignore a warning. They believed that our commitment to peace meant we were weak. They were wrong. She gestured to a display showing the human fleet surrounding the Zephyrian homeworld. "What you see here is not conquest. It is justice. We are not here to destroy the Zephyrian people. We are here to ensure that no human child is ever hurt again." The message concluded with a simple statement. Humanity's offer of peace remains open to all species. But remember what you have seen here. We protect our children with everything we have. This is not negotiable. In the medical bay of the flagship, Alex Williams was recovering from his injuries. His parents were with him, along with Dr. Lisa Carter, who had been monitoring his condition. "How do you feel, Alex?" Dr. Carter asked. "Better," the boy replied. "The bruises do not hurt as much anymore." His mother, Susan, held his hand gently. The doctor says you can go home soon. Will the bad aliens hurt other children? Alex asked. His father, Peter, shook his head. No, son. They have learned their lesson. They will never hurt another human child. Alex looked thoughtful. Dad, why did so many people come to save me? I am just one kid. Peter smiled and hugged his son. Because you are not just one kid. You are our kid. And humans protect their children, no matter what. The trial of Commander Zeether took place on the flagship with officers from the human fleet serving as judges. The proceedings were broadcast to the entire galaxy, ensuring that everyone would see justice being done. The evidence was overwhelming. Video recordings showed Zeether attacking Alex Williams and threatening the other prisoners. His own soldiers testified against him, describing how he had planned the attack specifically to terrorize human civilians. Commander Zeether said, Admiral Carter, who was serving as the chief judge, you have been found guilty of war crimes against humanity. The sentence is death. Zeether stood silently as the sentence was read. He had expected this outcome, but hearing it spoken aloud still filled him with dread. Do you have any final words? Admiral Carter asked. Zeether looked around the courtroom one last time. I want the galaxy to know that I underestimated humanity. I thought you were weak because you chose peace. I was wrong. You are the strongest species I have ever encountered. The execution took place the next day, witnessed by representatives from every species in the Federation. It was quick and efficient, carried out with the same precision that had characterized the entire human response. With Zeether dead and his accomplices in custody, the human fleet began to withdraw from Zephyrian space. But the changes they had made would be permanent. The Zephyrian military was disbanded, their government restructured, and their society placed under Federation oversight. High Chancellor Vexstar was removed from power and replaced by a council of moderates who pledged to work for peace. New government's first official act was to issue a formal apology to the human people and a promise that such attacks would never happen again. The human fleet returned to their normal duties, but the galaxy had been forever changed. The myth of human weakness had been shattered, replaced by a new understanding of their true capabilities. Ambassador Helen Parker returned to her diplomatic duties, but her job had become much easier. No species wanted to risk provoking humanity's wrath. The warning she had delivered to the Zephyrians was now known throughout the galaxy. Mom, why are the other aliens so nice to us now? Asked Katie during a visit to the Altarian homeworld. Because they understand us better now, Helen replied. They know that we are peaceful, but they also know that we are strong. Captain Morrison and his crew resumed their exploration mission, but their ship remained in its military configuration. The New Horizon was still disguised as a research vessel, but now everyone knew what it really was. Captain, asked Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, do you think we will ever have to do something like this again? Jake looked out at the stars ahead of them. I hope not, Amy, but if we do, the galaxy will know that we are ready. The story of Alex Williams became legend throughout human space. The bee